B-A-T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor podcast as we are coming to you live post the St. Jude Marathon weekend, which included some marathons, some half marathons, 10Ks, 5Ks, and we're going to get to some details about that after these messages. This episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast is brought to you in partnership with ministryleague.com. We would love for more people to discover this show, so please rate and review us on iTunes or your podcast provider. Feel free to share on your social media and subscribe at benandtravis.com for the free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living.
I'm Travis Creasy. That's All Pro Counselor Ben Hayes.
What's up, guys? Glad to be here.
And Will Myhan.
Hey, guys.
And the legendary Josh Thorne.
Hey.
There you go. All right.
That's why he's a legend.
Legendary. And as mentioned before, we are coming to you from St. Jude. We have all finished our run. I would say that most people have finished their run, although there have been some still coming across.
People coming across.
And so,
9 hours later?
Yeah, you may want to pray for some of those people. But coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee. This is my second trip over, my second 5K, and it's been an exciting weekend. Love to get to come hang out with some awesome people, and we had a huge team this year, man.
We did. It was fantastic. We had a bunch of people that wanted to jump on with us, and we're very thankful for that. At the moment, we're hovering somewhere around $20,000 raised by our team only. I don't know what the weekend totals are yet, but hopefully by the time we get to when it's all due, we'll be getting really close to 30,000 by our team. So that's huge. Awesome. Thank you guys for helping out with that.
It's good stuff. So I mentioned that I ran the 5K. Josh, what did you run?
The half marathon.
Half marathon. What about you other guys?
Same. Half marathon.
Half marathons, well, for me.
Excellent. And I have just enjoyed walking the streets and taking pictures with people. As you know, the celebrities we are, man.
Yeah, it's true. They just
no extra needed.
Yeah, they just wanted to take pictures.
It was like, wow, that's Travis.
That's Travis. So that's been great. I guess the thing that hits me is just how everybody is all in at this event.
Oh yeah,
people are just they know why you're here, and they're all about it. And you don't see a whole lot. I mean, we don't go very far from where the run is. I mean, literally a few hundred yards from here is where it finishes and where it starts. But right here nearby, everybody is all about it, and just the most awesome folks. And it's really cool to see human beings from all different walks and from on the other side of the planet. Some of them come together for this great cause, which of course is raising money for the St. Jude Research Hospital that deals mainly with childhood cancer.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, and speaking of that, there's a lot of people lining the streets, and several that are running that are family members, that some of their family members are still battling cancer. Some of their family members have gone on, and they come out there and they support the runners, and they're cheering you on, and in those moments when you feel like I'm starting to give up, they're going, oh yeah, look what we've gone through, and you feel the need to continue to run for a little bit longer, and so it's just really awesome that they come out and support it like that.
So we all have different experiences, different abilities. Once again, we mentioned Josh being the legend around here. But you can go back to last year's podcast and listen. And I can go ahead and tell you, Josh has had a much better time this time, although it has nothing to do really with his time in running, because he still smoked all of us last year, even though he was a little under the weather. But Josh, what's something that you noticed funny, heartwarming, whatever, a couple of things as you ran?
I mean, honestly, my biggest thing was not being sick, right?
Yes.
Actually finishing. But I mean, on a completely serious note, I was trying to take it all in as I'm running and kind of looking at the buildings and looking at everybody. And on the day-to-day bustle that we have, we think we have problems, and like you get to mile 6 and whatever, and you think you're hurting, you're not really hurting compared to what these families are going through. But I think one of the biggest things you mentioned, it kind of being silly and everybody being all in. That was one thing I saw. I mean, I saw people with green hair, dressed up, just all kinds of just full-grown adults being silly for these kids.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes in any other environment they would be scoffed at or maybe judged, but here everybody was just rooting it on. So to me, it was just seeing the literal family environment that you had for these children. It was a great experience.
That was something cool. I noticed, Will, you brought the whole fam, you and Lindsay and Emmy, and when we went up to the hospitality area, y'all were kind of explaining to her why y'all do this, and so back to Josh's point, it was definitely a family event for you guys.
Yeah, I think this is my fourth year. I've done 3 halves and a full, and probably the most impactful year. Just bringing Emmy, just because you run through campus, and I'll be a blubbering mess in a minute if I talk about it, but you see the kids, and you can physically tell they're struggling, that they're sick, that things are going on. And, I just automatically think back to like, man, my daughter's napping in the hotel room. Everything's fine. And it just makes you realize how blessed you are. And even those moments keep you going I heard somebody say, I run because I can. That there's people that physically they can't. I have the physical ability. It's not very fast. It's not very pretty. But at least I'm healthy enough to go do that. And so there was a lady, we were coming around mile 9 or 10, and she had a poster that said, thank you for being my hero. I'm standing here today because of you. And she was probably in her 40s or 50s, and I think to people like that, and I've told Josh and I were talking about it, if you come one time, if you've never been to St. Jude, I challenge you to come up and just see what St. Jude does, but come this weekend. And if you'll do it one time, you'll do it for the rest of your life, or as long as you can, especially I know all of us are dads, but to have that ability to have healthy children just makes it even more meaningful, because I want those families to have the experiences that I have. And it just more impactful to come and with your daughter. And then as we were leaving, of course, like the St. Jude logo on the way out, she said, Dad, we need to pray for all the sick kids that they'll get better. And Lindsay was like, well, you can run next year. And she goes, well, I don't have any shoes or a shirt. And I was like, we'll handle that.
Yeah, we can get that done.
So it was just a very impactful year for me, having her up here and having Lindsay, of course, to come and be a part of it as a family.
Yeah, I think one of the signs, there's a bunch of good signs. I saw one that a lady was holding up that said like something about 120 days in remission or something like that. And I just stopped and said, you're the hero. And there was a place coming through, and I'm like you, I'm probably going to get emotional about it, but there was a spot in the road that there was a sign that said, keep smiling, Jake always did. And it was like, And later we saw somebody else with a Jake shirt, so we wondered if it was connected to the same ones. But, Destin and I had a moment at that one, so pretty.
You mentioned that about Destin, her running, and that's also when you see signs like that, there's that thought crosses your brain like, suck it up, jerk. It's like, you can do this.
This isn't that hard. Yeah.
And I was leaving, I left early from school and came through I was actually going to find Daniel, my son, and he was coming out of the office, not for paddling, but we kind of connected, and I said, hey man, I'm going to run my race. He goes, well, Dad, I sure hope you finish first. Well, I hate to tell you, son, I did not finish first, but I did finish. But that was pretty cool moment as well. But, it can be a family thing, and obviously there's roster space. We're not cutting anybody from Team Ben and Travis for St. Jude. So if you want to be a part of this team, certainly, and we consider anybody who donates as a part of Team Ben and Travis. And this kind of started for us back in July, really before that, but July with the Batify 5K, Freedom 5K, and then, of course, Dodgeball. And I think, Josh, you participated in both of those events. and certainly was a champion in one of them. But there's always room for more on Team Ben and Travis, always. But I will say, let's go back to, and some of y'all mentioned this. What's some of the funniest stuff you saw out there? Before y'all, I'll give you a minute to think, since we were getting all emotional and sharing those things. At the start, there was a little wagon there, and it was a family, and it was a kid, and they had the orange ribbon, which means leukemia. And I went up to them and I said, "So somebody's fighting leukemia?" And they pointed at the boy, and I said, I survived leukemia. I had a bunch of treatments, and I survived. And she just kind of looked back at me, and she goes, "That gives me so much hope." And I was like, man, now I got to go run this thing, And it's, once again, it's those times where your legs get a little tired. And by that time you hit the campus, and there's just a line of people. And so I'm just throwing the arms up, people's, all that stuff. And I get past that line, and my legs are like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. But that's fun. It's fun. Man, you got one from the run, the funny sign, or somebody dressed up? There's plenty of people dressed up.
There were a few people dressed up. I thought there was some pretty cool signs out there. One of my favorites, I don't know that it was anything just terribly funny, but I love the power-up signs. I try to hit every one of them. I try to go, and even Destin was like, "You missed that one." And the one that she said I missed, it was one that they were holding a stick with the block with the mushroom on top of it. So it was like you had to jump to hit the block. And I went back. I turned and went back and slapped it, and then got back. And it was on like mile 11.
Did they have to lower it for you to hit?
Yeah, they did. But it's okay. I was not going to be able to hit it with my head like Mario does, but I did jump up and I think he actually uses fist, but whatever. But that one was one of my favorites because she put some time into that. It was like a block. It wasn't just a sign. It was a block. So nice. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw a couple of funny ones, but the one I don't even think I've talked about was the guy busting on a scooter and losing his shoes. Me and this guy was actually running, and he hit like a rock, and I'm talking full over. He was okay, for the record. He was all right. But he came up with both his shoes, and that guy turned around and goes, "You won't forget that, will you?" And I was like, "Nope." And he kept going. So that was it's terrible to say that. But he's okay.
We crossed the finish line, and somebody hit one of those bumps where the cables are, and boom. Put hands down or anything.
Be careful out there. Be careful out there.
Yeah, so you gotta watch your step.
There was definitely a bunch of characters. It was entertaining.
I saw Pope, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. One of the funny ones for me was, it may have been a bishop, but it was, of course, the Pope costume, and he was running the marathon, and I was just sitting there thinking, man, like to run in that costume, and he may have been the Pope, who knows, or one of the Pope's bishops, which would have been awesome, to run that. So that was pretty funny. And then the best thing for me is I was coming up mile 9, and there were some hills, and Brock Wyndham. So Brock's a senior in high school that was on our team that just smoked everybody. I was yelling at him and pointing, and then he saw me. Well, we had just he was coming towards the finish line. I was going to come back around, and it was right in the chocolate donut section. And so Brock looks at me, holds the donut, throws it over everybody across the road, and I end up catching it, and I eat the rest of this donut. And everybody in the circle that I was running with just starts cheering and going nuts, and screaming, "Nice catch!" So I needed some energy, got that chocolate donut, felt real good.
Have you got eligibility left? Because Alabama needs somebody to catch the ball. But
So question, what were your favorite snacks along the way? You brought that up. So there's all kinds of stuff along the way. What was your favorite?
I ate the electrolyte packs. That's all I had.
You didn't eat anything that people were handing out?
Nope, I didn't even want anything to slow me down unless it was water.
I did eat
ate chocolate donuts and oranges.
Look, Josh's little gun show on the food, right?
I've been bit a couple.
Somebody had Reese's cups and Starburst on one table, and I was like,
the motorcycle gang was handing out bubble gum, like the double bubble, the grape flavor, and I went in to grab it, and I completely missed.
I was on the other side of the road when I went by them, so I didn't know that.
I actually went across the road one time to throw a water bottle away to be nice and missed. It just we have to keep going. I was like,
there were two boxes sitting next to each other. There was this much of a gap. And I did the same thing. And when I tossed it, it went straight through the gap. And I'm like,
I was like, I was
I'm
trying.
done.
You know, I was
Special
trying.
shout out to
Yeah.
the people that clean up.
Yeah,
I said
awesome.
thank you to every one of them with the rakes. I was
Yeah.
like, thank you. Wow.
Yes, big time.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, they did not have Dr. Pepper
No,
on,
not
the,
along
on the
way.
route, especially for the 5K. There was water, but I always mess that up. You know, I'll never hit my mouth because I just try to throw it back and I just miss. So it's too short of a run for many good snacks. But I'm not sure what the deadline is to donate.
December
Team Train.
16th.
But we definitely have some people that are still trying to meet their goal. Will's got his hand raised. But we would love for you to do that. The best way to do that is really benandtravis.com. Go to the drop down menu and hit St. Jude, and it'll help you pick whoever you want to donate that money to. Ben and I have already hit our goal, and so we encourage you to find somebody else. We've got two here with us that would, I'm sure, love to have your help in doing just that. But guys, I do appreciate everything you guys do, who you are, and who you represent, and coming up here. And we'll look to do it again next year. 2023 will be here before you know it, and we'll probably be doing the same thing as in watching conference championships and having our hearts in our throats. But nonetheless, we love you guys. Be sure to share this with anybody that you think would benefit or might be looking to shove a little money towards preventing childhood, or actually, let's just throw it out there, destroying childhood cancer from off the face of the planet. And of course, your prayers are always appreciated. Rate this 5 stars. And once again, I'll just remind you, the quickest way and the best way that podcasts are found is by word of mouth. We'd appreciate if you put in a good word for us to anybody and whoever you may run across. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.